Hi YouTube, this is Evie. Welcome back to my channel, and today I have another video for you all. This time I am going to be talking about a subject that I've wanted to for a while, and I think it is a good way to wrap up my sort of video series I've been working on, and that is how to be confident in kink and how to be confident as a kinkster. Now I've sort of narrowed this down to 3 specific elements I think are the most important, and that would be self-respect, honesty, and knowledge. And that, I think, are sort of, at least for me, the personal trifecta of things that have really helped me become more confident in kink and become more confident in myself as somebody who participates in kink. And the first one is self-respect. And I think that this one is a little bit more complicated than it seems like on the surface, because becoming respectful of yourself can be a lifelong process for some people, but it can be very difficult. Some people are born with a lot of self-efficacy and a lot of self-respect, and for some people it's very difficult. And I think that in order to be a healthy, happy participant in BDSM, you need to first accept yourself for who you are as a kinkster. You need to cultivate that kind of self-respect, because it's going to be difficult to get what you want out of BDSM, and it's going to be difficult to get what you want out of scenes and from partners and have them respect you likewise if you don't have that sort of respect for yourself to begin with. And I think it's especially difficult to get self-respect in kink because it is something that's outside the norm, it's outside of the mainstream, and there's a lot of shame that's associated with kink. There's a lot of shame that is associated with specific kinks especially, and it can be very difficult to get to a place where you're comfortable with yourself enough to be like, you know what, I'm into this weird thing, but so are other people, and there's going to be people out there who want to do this with me, and it's going to be awesome, and we're going to have a good time. And you need to be able to sort of internalize that and be like, I am worthy. I am worthy of respect. I am fundamentally a good person, and in order for other people to respect me, I need to respect myself. And this also means respecting your own personal boundaries and respecting your own personal limits. So in order to be confident in kink, I think you need to be aware of what your own personal boundaries and limits are. And if you have trouble establishing what those things are, there are plenty of worksheets and lists and everything online that are like yes, no, maybe ones, and they can be helpful if you're not really sure, exactly what you are or aren't comfortable with. And it might take a bit of experimentation and a bit of internal processing to be able to figure out what those things are, but it is an important element, because if you have not enough self-respect to adhere to your own limits and adhere to your own boundaries, it is going to really affect your confidence, because you're not really going to be sure what you want, and you're not really going to be able to tell your partners what you want, because your boundaries and your limits are so undefined and so mutable. And it's okay to have limits, and it's okay to have boundaries. I know some people like to say, oh, I have no limits, I have no boundaries, I give myself completely to my partner, and very quickly and very easily to come up with things that should, at least for a sane person, be things that are not okay, like permanently having an arm chopped off or something like that. Should be something that is not okay. That should be a personal boundary that you have. So the first one, have self-respect, know who you are as a person, be aware of what your kinks are, be aware of what your boundaries and your limits are. And being aware of what you want will really, really help with your confidence. I do sincerely mean that, because when you are sure of what you want and what you're looking for, it makes it so much easier to find what you're looking for, because you know what it is. And it's going to be so much easier to tell people and communicate with people who are potential friends or potential play partners what those things are. And it is really, really going to be helpful if you're ever having moments of second guessing or doubting yourself, if you know for sure why you're participating and what you want. Now, to go along with this is the second one, which is honesty. You need to be honest with yourself, and you need to be honest with your partners. If you're not into something, that is perfectly okay and perfectly acceptable. Not everybody is going to be into every single kink, and not everybody is going to be into the same amount or same level of kink, or for the same period of time. And sometimes you might really, really be into this one element of play, and other times you're not going to be, and that's okay. You just need to be honest and forthright about those kinds of things, and you need to be honest with yourself. Again, they're very overlapped. Self-respect and honesty, I think, are really key, because if you're being dishonest, it's hard to give yourself respect, and if you don't have respect for yourself, dishonesty sometimes follows because you're unsure of yourself. And it's very important to be honest about your intentions and your goals in BDSM. If you can be honest with yourself about, do I want to participate in this kink because other people are doing it, or because it's something that I really think I'm into, or because it would make my partner happy? Like, those are a wide variety of reasons, and they're very different reasons for participating in a certain kink. It's not necessarily a bad thing if you want to try kink because a lot of other people seem to enjoy it. Maybe you'll find out you enjoy it too, or because your partner likes it, or because you are curious about it but you're not really sure. That's okay. But you need to be honest about it, and you need to be forthright with yourself. And I think honesty in general, it's a good policy. It's a good thing for life, regardless if it is in kink or not. And being honest and being known as an honest person in the community is something that is really, really going to pay dividends for you. And it's a good thing. Just be honest. And the third point that I want to talk about is probably the most important to me personally, though they're all really important, and that would be knowledge. And I think this is the one that kind of binds all of them together. And for me personally, it's important because, I have a YouTube channel, and for me, I got into making YouTube videos because I think it's important to give people access and ways to learn and equip themselves with knowledge before they get involved with kink. And I think it's something that's very powerful, and I think having knowledge is something that is so very important in all things in life and everything that you do, not just in kink, but it is very helpful in kink as well, because if you go into a situation and you don't know the terminology, you don't know the etiquette, the expectations, the rules, you don't know how to negotiate or address people, and you're really unsure, or you have a very limited base of knowledge, that is really going to affect you, and it's really going to be able to affect how confident you are and how able you are to be able to ask for what you want and to be able to get what you want. And I think equipping yourself with, the knowledge of the terminology and the kinds of kinks that you want or the kinds of kinks that you don't want, and knowledge about the subculture, and knowledge about the history of BDSM, and knowledge about different dynamics and relationships and different archetypes within BDSM, I think that is a really powerful thing. I think it's really important because if you can say to yourself, I know that I really like XYZ thing, and it is my goal to be able to do XYZ thing, and I want to be able to have XYZ kind of relationship, that is just going to help you so much. And I know for me personally, when I realized the kind of relationship that I wanted and the kind of dynamic that I wanted, it was so much easier to talk and interact with people because I knew what I would want, and I wouldn't feel pressured, and I wouldn't feel like unduly obligated to try things because I didn't know really what I wanted. It's okay to experiment and try things that are maybe outside of your direct comfort zone, or maybe things that you're curious about, but having that power to know what you want is just so helpful, especially as a submissive, because if you know how to do things safely, if you know how to negotiate, if you have expectations about how things go and about what works for you for aftercare and what aftercare should look like and what healthy dynamics look like versus unhealthy dynamics, that is just going to be so, so, so very helpful long term in order to make sure that you stay safe, that you stay healthy, that you are able to become the best kind of submissive that you want to be and be able to find the kind of dynamic that works for you. And I think all these things, all three of these things, being honest, having self-respect, having knowledge, I think these are the things that really helped me be able to become confident as a kinkster, and hopefully they help you too. And of course, there are a bunch of other things that are really important out there to take into account when you're becoming somebody who's confident in kink. But I think knowing the terminology, knowing the etiquette of BDSM, knowing the purpose behind BDSM, being able to be honest with yourself, being able to give yourself respect for who you are as a kinkster and what kinks that you do have, and being able to respect just who you are as a person in general. Those are the things I think are the most important. But this is really all that I have to talk about on this particular subject. Again, I will leave links down below for anything that I think might be pertinent or helpful. Please leave any comments or questions that you have down below. I do make videos twice a week, so please subscribe if you want to see more. I am finally going to be answering all of your questions about actually getting involved in the real life community, so please look forward to that. As always, have a good rest of your day and have a great rest of your week, and I will see you all again soon. Bye-bye.